Hello everyone, this is Dr. Mihir Shah once again with another video. In this video, we are going to learn how to draw network diagram, how to find critical part and subcritical part, how to find EST, EFT, LST, LFT, and lastly how to find total float, free float, independent float and interfering float. This is the second part of our video series based on network analysis under critical part method under the subject operation research. In this video, we are going to basically solve a sum which covers up each and every type of questions that can be asked in this particular topic. Again, this is a very important topic for all the students appearing for TYBMS M6. Okay, I can guarantee you that once you all go through this entire video, you all will be able to solve each and every sums appearing in this particular topic. Now, for those who haven't seen the first video, I would recommend you all to first go through the first video. Okay, because in that video, you're basically going to learn in detail how to draw a network diagram. Okay, once you all know how to draw, then you can, cope up with this particular video in which we will be drawing, we'll be finding, and we'll be doing a lot of stuff in this. There are a lot of things that to be, solved and found in this particular video. Okay, chalo. So we will be taking up a sum, and based on that we will see how we can inculcate all these things in that particular sum. Chalo, let us see how we can start with the sum.
Okay, now let us see how to solve a full-fledged sum under network analysis. Okay, where they will ask us to find, first draw the network diagram. Then they'll ask us to find the critical part and subcritical part. After which they will ask us to tabulate the earliest start, earliest finish, latest start, latest finish time. And after that, they will ask us to find the free float, total float, interfering float and independent float. So it's a full-fledged sum. We're going to take a one sum which will cover up everything from this particular chapter. Okay, so it's a very important sum. Okay, now before starting with the sum, just remember that those who haven't gone through the earlier video, first go through the earlier video of network analysis where you will learn how to draw the network diagram. Once you know that, then you can easily start off with actually solving sum based on it. Okay, now there's a question given to all. We'll just read the question once. A small assembly plant assembles PCs through 9 interlinked activities and the time duration for which is given below. So now we have been given different types of activities. You can see 1 2 1 3 1 4 2 5 and all those things, and they have given you the durations. The very first thing what they ask us to find is draw a network diagram. Second, calculate and tabulate for each activity the earliest start, earliest finish, latest start, latest finish time. Okay, after that they're asking you find the critical and subcritical part, and lastly calculate and tabulate total float, free float, interfering float and independent float. Okay, now in order to start with the sum, okay, we'll start with the very first part, which is where we need to draw a network diagram. Okay, remember network diagram will always start with the nodes. There are activities given to us, and based on those activities, okay, we will be creating a network diagram. Chalo. So we'll start with the creating part. Now the very first activity which is given in the question is 1 to 2 and the duration is 2. Then we have 1 to 3, 1 to 4, 1 to, all these things are given to us. So now remember, look at the first the first two activities. No, take the first three activities. 1 say 2, 1 say 3 and 1 say 4. So it means we'll always start with the very first node. Remember, we're making a little bigger node because here we will be writing it something. So just keep it this way for a simple. Every node will be divided in 3 parts. Remember, every node will be divided in 3 parts. This is node number 1. Now activity they are giving you activity 1 and 2, 1 and 3 and 1 and 4. So we have activity, this is activity 1. Alright, here activity 1 and 2 is there. Okay, activity 1 and 2. So I'll note down this as activity 2 and we will divide this part. The duration for activity 1 and 2 is 2 hours. So I'm noting it here as 2. Then we have 1 and 3. So from 1 we have another activity which is coming out, that's activity 3. Again I'll divide this in two parts, the duration for which is 2. And we have one more activity coming out from 1, that is activity 4. So I'm noting this as my activity 4. Again I'm dividing it in two parts. Okay, so activity 1, 2, 3 and 4 is done. Now from activity 2, if you look carefully in the question, it's given that from activity 2 there is activity 5 being taken, succeeding with activity 5. So we have from 2 we have 5. So I'll write here from 2 there is activity 5 and the duration is 4. Next we have activity 3. From 3 we have 6, and again from 3 we have 7. Okay, so from activity 3 we have 6, and then from activity 3 we also have 7. So I will go ahead and check. After that we can see there is activity 4. From 4 also there is a 6. So it means from 4 as well as from 3, both of them are getting connected to activity 6. Okay, the duration from 3 to 6 is 8, and from 4 to 6 it is 3. Okay, now from 3 we finish the 3 to 6. So we'll go with the next one. So there's 3 to 7, and there is no other 7 given, so I'll take it from here straight. The next one, it will be from 3 to 7. The duration is 5, so I'll note down this as 5. Okay, now we go ahead. 4 to 6 is done. So now we go ahead. Now after 4 to 6 there is 5 to 8, and if you go a little ahead also, there is 7 to 8. So from 5 we are jumping to 8, and from 7 also we are going to jump towards 8. So from 5 to 8 it is 1 hour, I mean the duration is 1 hour, and from 7 to 8 it is 4 hours. So 5 to 8 is done. Next one was 6 to 9, and last mate is 8 to 9. So that's it. We're almost coming to the end. From 6 it is to 9, and from 8 also it is towards 9. So this is 9, and I again break it in two parts. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So we were able to create a network. This is how your network diagram should have looked. Okay, it has to start from a point and end over one single point. Okay, once we have done this, once this is done, okay, now what we'll do is they ask us to find the critical and subcritical part. Okay, so here we have to note down the critical paths. So first we'll note down the path, whichever paths are available. So under paths I'm writing here number 1, the very first part, if I can see, I'll go with the top one. So this is part 1, 2, 5, 8 and 9. So that's like the first part. So I'll have from 1 to 2 to 5 to 8 to 9, which is equal to, now we need to add up all the durations. So that was 2 plus 4 plus 1. Okay, now one more thing, we forgot to note down the last two durations. 8 to 9 the duration was 3, and 6 to 9 the duration was 5. Okay, so now it's completed. So now we can do, so 2 plus 4 plus 1 plus 3, so 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I have here 10 hours. The next one, the next path, I can take the next path as 1, 3, 7, 8 and 9. So you can take that also. So I'll take 1, 3, 7, 8, 9. You can take n many. Okay, you can take n many number of times. Okay, till the last, from the start to the end. So here it will be 2 plus 5 plus 4 plus 3. So that is 5, 6, 7, 11 and 3, 14 hours. Okay, third one, I can take this as 1, 3, 6 9. So 1 3 6 and 9, that will be 2 plus 8 plus 5, which comes to 15 hours. Okay, and we can even go for the last 1 4 6 and 9, which will be, okay, again 1 to 4 I haven't written, so we'll note down that first. From 1 to 4 the duration is 1 hour, so that will be 1 plus 3 plus 5, that comes to 9 hours. Okay, once we have done this, we can now finally note down the final answer. I can write, therefore the critical path will be, now the critical part will always be the one which has the highest R, the highest value, which is the third option. So our critical part is 1-3-6-9. Okay, therefore the project completion time equals to 15 hours. Okay, that's the first thing. And secondly, they also asked you to find the subcritical part. So I'll write here subcritical path. Now the subcritical part is the second highest. So this was the highest, 15 hours. The subcritical will be the second highest, which is 14. So that will be 1-3-7-8-9. And iska we'll write it as subcritical path time was 14 hours. Okay, so this is how you all had to solve the very first part, that is when they ask you to find the network diagram and to find the critical and subcritical part. Okay, now what were these two gaps which we had done? Okay, now this is basically for the further part of the sum, okay, which we require. Okay, so now let us see how we can go ahead. So this was the first part where they asked you to find the critical part and stuff. So we are done with the network diagram and we have completed the critical part. Now how to fill up these values? Okay, now let us see how to fill those values. Okay, look at this very carefully. You will always start, now this the first part. Okay, remember when we make this 0, okay, on top we have written the name of the activity. This is your earliest start time. Okay, that value is nothing but your earliest start time, the first part, meaning that is the time in which your activity can start at the earliest. Okay, it's called the earliest start time. And this will be the latest time, okay, the last time, meaning how last you can make. Okay, so your starting point, the starting time is called the earliest time, and this is like your latest time. Okay, latest start point you can say. Okay, so earliest time, latest time, earliest time, latest time, this is how you need to remember. Okay, chalo. Now let us see how to fill up this diagram. Okay, always remember, you will always start with first the earliest time for all. Okay, so always remember the very first activity or the very first node, the value will always be 0. Okay, now we add 0. Now these are all your durations. Okay, you have to remember these are all your durations. So remember the duration, when we go ahead, the duration gets added to it. So 0 plus 2 will give you 2. 2 plus 4 gives you 6. Now 6 plus 1 gives you 7, but now there is interconnection. Okay, there's a merger. So whenever there is a merger, we'll have to wait because we are going forward. Chalo, till then we go the other way. 0 plus 2 is 2. 2 plus 5 is 7. Okay, now look at this very carefully. This was 6 plus 1, which used to come as 7, and this is 7 plus 4, which is 11. Whenever you're going forward, whenever you're going from left to right, whichever is the highest value, whenever it is going to get merged, okay, whenever there is going to be a merger, the highest value will be recorded. So 6 plus 1 is 7 and 7 plus 4 is 11. So I'll note down this as 11. And 11 plus 3 becomes 14. But again, this and this is going to be merged, so we'll see later on that. Okay, chalo. So now here we go ahead, try filling up the other parts. 0 to 1 is 1, 1 plus 3 is 4, but here 2 plus 8 is also there. So 2 plus 8 is 10, 1 plus 3 is 4, so we'll take the 10, the higher value. This is 10. 10 plus 5, 15, 11 plus 3, 14. So we'll take the higher value, which is 15. Okay, always remember, whenever you're going from left to right, whenever there is a merger, always the higher value among the two will be taken. Now, once you're done with that, whatever is the last value, that will become the last time. And now we have to go in reverse, backward order. So we'll have to go backwards. So let us start with the top part first. So 15 minus 3 is 12. 12 minus 1 is 11. 11 minus 4 is 7. 7 minus 2 is 5, but I'll have to wait because now there's again a merger. So we'll wait. I'll go ahead with something else. 15 minus 5 is 10. 10 minus 3 is 7. Now 7 minus 1, I'll wait because there's a merger. 12 minus 4 is 8. 8 minus 5 will give you 3, and 10 minus 8 will give you 2. So now see, this is merging. Whenever we are going from right to left, whenever we are going backward, the lowest will be always taken. When we go left to right, the highest we take. From right to left, we'll always take the lowest. So 8 minus 5 is 3, 10 minus 8 is 2, 2 is the lower value, so we'll take this as 2. Okay, now last one, 7 minus 2 is 5, 2 minus 2 is 0, and 7 minus 1 is 6. So the lowest value was 2 minus 2, which is 0. So we will take this as 0. So this is how we were able to complete this entire network diagram with the early start point and the latest, the latest start point. Okay. So once you all have done this, now we'll see ahead how we can use these values and formulating the remaining table. Chalo. Now let us see that how to go ahead with this sum. Okay, now let us start with the second part where they've asked us to find EST, that is early start time, EFT, early finish time, latest start time, latest finish time. Okay, now just to make it more simple, okay, I have remade it with the colors indicating the early start, latest start. So I have made it into different colors, so it become easy for all of you all to understand which value we'll be taking where. Okay, now in order to find those four things, we'll have to make a table. We'll have activities, okay, whatever activities were given in the question. So 1 2 1 3 1 4 1, all these activities, 2 5 3 6 3 7 4 6, all these activities have been taken. Time has been taken from the question itself, but all the times are given in green. Okay, now the very first thing what you'll need to find is the early start time. Okay, now it's very simple, very simple. Okay, now everyone look at this very carefully at the explanation. Okay, in order to note down the early start time, now since the early start time we have taken here in red, okay, early start time meaning the very first part. Okay, so now for activity 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 1 4 2 5, all these skill we need to find the early start time. Very simple, only look at the start. In order to find the early start time, only look at the first value. Okay, only look at the first value. For activity 1, what is the early start time? That is 0. Okay, the first part is called early. This is the early start. This is like the start, and this is the latest. Okay, this is like the finish time, start time, finish time. Okay, so we have the earliest start and the latest start times. Okay, so for activity 1, only look at the first part. Okay, to easily identify it. For activity 1, the latest for the earliest start time is 0, so I'm noting it as 0. Again, the second also is activity 1, so activity 1 it is again 0. For third again it is 1, so 0. For activity 2, this is activity 2, early start time is 2, so I'm noting it down as 2. 3 ke liye it is again 2. Again we have 3, so again 3 ka start time, early start time is 2. For activity 4, the early start time is 1. For activity 5, the early start time is 6. For activity 6, it is 10. For activity 7, it is 7. And for activity 8, it is 11. Okay, as simple as that. The first step, always find the early start time. Now, after getting the early start time, come at the last column, that is the, is like the last, the latest finish time. Okay, so in order to find that, now latest finish time is very simple. You have to look at the last activities. Look at the last activities and the latest time, that's the second part of the time. Like for example, for activity 2, this is activity 2, the latest time, the second time is 7th. I'm noting down with blue because that's like in blue, so it's for everyone to understand. So latest finish time is 7. Next is activity 3. Activity 3 ka latest finish time is 2. For activity 4, it is 7. For activity 5, you will have to look at the second numbers. Okay, for activity 5, it is 11. For activity 6, it is 10. For activity 7, it is 8. For activity 6, it is 10. For activity 8, it is 12. For activity 9, it is 15. Again activity 8, it is 12, and for activity 9, it is 15. Okay, so latest, the earliest start time, look at the first activity, whatever is the earlier time we noted down. For the latest finish time, look at the second activity called values, and according to that we note down those values. Now let us go ahead. We need to find the earliest finish time, that is nothing but early start time plus the time, the duration which is given. So we just need to add them. Okay, so for the first case, I'll just show it to you all. So this is supposed to be 0 plus 2. Okay, 0 plus 2, which is 2. Okay, in the second case, it would have been again early start time. So 0 plus 2, it is 2. So what I do here is I'll note down all the early start time. So 0, 2, 2, 2, 1, 6, 10, 7 and 11. Okay, so 0 plus 1 is 1. 2 plus 4 is 6. 2 plus 8 is 10. 2 plus 5 is 7. 1 plus 3 is 4. 6 plus 1 is 7. 10 plus 5 is 15. 7 plus 4 is 11. And 11 plus 3 is 14. Okay, now so this is how you'll have to find the early finish time. So that is just adding the first two, the EST with the time. Now in order to find the latest start time, it will be latest finish time minus the value of time. Okay, so now in order to do that, the LFTs are all given to us here. So what I'll do here is I will use those values as it's in blue, so I'll take that as a blue. So it will be 7, 2, 7, 11, 10, 8, 10, 12, 15, 12 and 15. Now for this I will subtract, okay, the values of your time. Okay, it is minus time, so minus 2. So 7 minus 2, we have 5. 2 minus 2 will be 0. 7 minus 1 is 6. 11 minus 4 is 7. 10 minus 8 is 2. 8 minus 5 is 3. 10 minus 3 is 7. 12 minus 1 is 11. 15 minus 5 is 10. 12 minus 4 is 8. And 15 minus 3 is 12. Okay, so this is how y'all had to actually find the value of EST, EFT, LST and LFT. Okay, very simple. We noted down the activity, the time, the duration, and according to the rules which I have mentioned here. So early start time is the first value of the first activity, latest finish time is the second value का नहीं second activity का second value, and then according to the formula. Okay, so this was the second thing that they had asked us to find. Okay, now the next thing what they asked us to find is the next thing that we will be finding will be, okay, see, they had asked us first of all make a diagram, we did that. They asked you to find the early start time, early finish time, so we have done even that. Now third thing what we'll be finding in the sum is basically something called as a tail slack and a head slack. Okay, now let us see what is that, because that will be required in order to find the last thing that they are asked us to find. They are asked us to find free float, okay, total float and all other floats which are there. So for that we need tail slack and head slack. Okay, so chalo, let us see how to find first of all those two values. Okay, now in order to find the tail slack or head slack, now see what we have to do here. Okay, very simple, it is very simple, but just remember the order how we are going through it. Okay, now in order to find the tail slack, tail meaning, see, we have an activity. Okay, so for that activity the tail, the backward position of that activity will be called as the tail, and the ahead one will be called as the head. Okay, so for activity 1 and 2, this is my activity 1 and 2. Okay, for activity 1 and 2, this will become my tail, this will become my head. The first one will be the tail, the second one will be the head. Okay, so for tails, like basically again you will have to look at the first value. For head you will have to look at the second value. Now see what we do here is, first I'll do with the tail slack of all the first values. So for the first value, okay, these are called the slack values. Okay, the values which are there in blue and red, those are your slack values. So for activity 1, the tail slack is nothing but the difference between both these values. So difference between 0 and 0, which is 0. Okay, so that's 0 minus 0. Again we have activity 1, so that will be again 0 minus 0, which is 0. Again we have activity 1, 0 minus 0, which is 0. For activity 2, okay, it will be, you know, the higher minus, the latest minus the start. Okay, so it will be 7 minus 2, which is 5. For activity 3, it will be 2 minus 2, which is 0. For activity 3, again it will be 2 minus 2, which is 0. For activity 4, 7 minus 1, which is 6. For activity 5, 11 minus 6, which is 5. Activity 6, it will be 10 minus 10, which is 0. For activity 7, it is 8 minus 7, which is 1. And for activity 8, it will be 12 minus 11, which is 1. Okay, now finding the head ke liye we'll have to look at the second activity. Okay, again the difference. So for activity 2, the difference is, you know, it will be 7 minus 2, which is 5. Next is activity 3, so it will be 2 minus 2, which is 0. Next is 4, so that will be 7 minus 1, which is 6. Next is 5, 11 minus 6, which is 5. 6, 10 minus 10, which is 0. 7, 8 minus 7, which is 1. 6, 10 minus 10, which is 0. We have 8, 12 minus 11, which is 1. 9, which is 15 minus 15, which is 0. We have 8 again, so that will be 12 minus 11, which is 1. And lastly 9, 15 minus 15, which is equal to 0. Okay, this was the tail slack and this is called as the head slack. Now we'll see that how where will we use this actually. Okay, I hope everyone have understood till this point. Okay, again a very important sum which cover up each and everything in this particular topic. Okay, in this network analysis ka critical part topic. Okay, chalo. Now let us see the last part, how to solve the last part. Okay, now if you look here carefully, now we are on the last part where they ask us to find the total float, free float, independent float and interfering float. So these are the new four things that we need to find. Already we have found the early start time, the early finish time, latest start time, latest finish time, the tail slack and the head slack. Okay, now let us complete the remaining part, how to get these other values. Okay, so let us start with it. The very first thing they have asked us to find is the total float. Now total float का formula is latest start time minus earliest start time. I have the latest start time minus the earliest start time. Okay, now the values are already there, we just have to use them carefully now. Latest start time minus earliest start time. This is my earliest start time, this is my latest start time. Okay, so latest start time is 5, earliest start time is 0. So I'll write here 5 minus 0 is equal to 5. Next, 0 minus 0, so I'll write this here as 0 minus 0, which is 0. Next, for the third one, I have to just subtract these two. So LST minus EST, 6 minus 0. So 6 minus 0 is 6. Next is 7 minus 2, which is 5. Next is 2 minus 2, which is 0. Next is 3 minus 2, which is 1. 7 minus 1, which is 6. 11 minus 6, which is 5. 10 minus 10, which is 0. 8 minus 7, which is 1, and 12 minus 11, which is 1. Okay, that was total float. Now we jump to the next one, free float. Now free float ka formula is total float, this is just now what we have got, minus head slack. Okay, this is this value. Okay, so how to get that answer now? Now you just have to subtract basically again. So I'll use that with a red pen so it doesn't get smudged out. So total float here is 5. So it will be 5 minus, okay, so black, so we'll do it with black ink. 5 minus 5, which is 0. The next 0 minus 0, which is again 0. Next 6 minus 6, which is 0. Next 2 and 5 के लिए we have 5 minus 5, which is 0. The next is 0 minus 0, again 0. 1 minus 1, which is 0. 6 minus, this is 4 and 6. So 6 minus 0, which is 6. 5 minus 1, which is 4. 0 minus 0, which is 0. 1 minus 1, which is 0. And lastly, we have again 1 minus 0, which is 1. Okay. So that is how you all had to find the free float. Next is independent float, which is free float, the one what we just now found, minus the tail slack. Okay. So free float, which was 0, minus the tail slack, which is 0. So 0 minus 0 is 0. Next 0 minus 0, again 0. Next we have again 0 minus 0, which is 0. Next 0 minus 5, that is negative 5. Next 0 minus 0, which is 0. Again 0 minus 0 is 0. 6 minus 6 is 0. 4 minus 5 is negative 1. 0 minus 0 is 0. 0 minus 1 is negative 1. And lastly 1 minus 1 is 0. Okay, that was independent float. And last is interfering float. Interfering float is nothing but it is equal to your head slack. So whatever value we had got in head slack, that becomes your interfering float. So we have 5, 0, 6, I'm just noting it down. I'm just noting these values here. 6, 5, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0. Okay, so with that we were able to complete this entire sum. We started off with the network diagram, then we started off marking the diagram. Okay, and based on that markings we were able to get the early start, early finish, latest start, latest finish. We found the tail slags and the head slag, and then we did this 4 floats. Okay, so with this we were able to complete a very important topic of network analysis, where under the chapter critical path. Okay, so I hope everyone have understood this. Okay, if this is again I'm repeating, it's a very important topic from the exam point of view. See that you all thoroughly go through whatever we have done, resolve it, and then I can guarantee you all that with the help of this you can solve any sum based on this particular topic. Okay, chalo, with that we will be ending this video here. Thank you.